everywhere. So as you can tell, it's been a few days now, and you'll be seeing like 2 different days. So first is going to be a little quick overview, and then I'll be showing you what I actually did on the car itself. So hopefully you enjoy this video, guys, and stay tuned. This car is going to be here ready anytime. I've been so busy with work and so much other stuff going on, but enjoy the video, guys, and remember, like and subscribe, and if anything, leave it in the comments below. So let's get to it, guys. Alrighty, guys, so for the people that don't know anything, before we start here, I did do a few things a while back with my fuel system. I rerouted the feed lines and the return lines to the tank, and also I did upgrade my injectors, fuel pump, and getting a lot of other wiring things done out of the way, spark plugs, finished a lot of my vacuum lines, and just so much with the car itself, which I'm almost 100% done with it, ready to get it started. And you're gonna see here in the end of the video all the stuff I've done with it. So hopefully you enjoy, guys. The GE cam sensor there, as you can tell, most of these, they don't have them in place here. I added that in place, and I'm running BC cams here, some 264s with a cam trigger on the cam, so that actually gives me signal to for the ECU to pick up. So basically got that situated, and now I'm actually going to be trying to start this car, and hopefully things work. Fuel lines, all that got relocated up to the front, and it works a lot better that way for me, and clears up a lot of space over here for later on, because as you can tell, brake lines don't look as good. This was a while back when I rushed it. So what's going to be happening here is later on I'll be chopping this out, making a plate most likely, and I'll be making some custom lines through the firewall with a bracket here and there. And they're actually going to be running down this side. As you can tell, I have them marked where they're going to be at, and it's all going to be tucked underneath the car, not going over the engine just like that, because I'm not a big fan of that. So it'll be a lot easier for me, but that'll be to the next one, guys. All right, guys, so it's kind of torn apart. I've been doing some work on it, but right now I'm doing this alternator wire. I've been checking all the harness here and the injector side just to make sure it's all good. Everything has tested fine since from the last video, since I got the fuse box in place, ECU and all that stuff. So right now we're going to be adding this plug in place. I had to chop it off my old one. This is a brand new one off my old harness. So I do have these labeled, and I already have everything on the harness itself labeled for the OEM body harness for this car. So I'm going to be wiring this into that itself. So I got my alternator ignition switch, and then I got my sense wire, and then I got my load wire right there. So let's skip to that real quick and get it done. And alright, guys, so if you want to know for this alternator stuff how I figured it out, little quick tip: the best way for these JZs was I hooked this up, ohmed out the actual back of the sensors for the alternator plug, and checked each wire and see where they led to, and checked for the colors and all that stuff. So as you can tell, this one right here, ignition switch right there, so that's going to be connected to this plug on the body side over here. And then that's not it. And here's my other one, which is my alternator load wire, and the alternator sense wire is right here, which is the middle one right here. So I already know how that goes. So all I have to do is make my harness and plug everything in where they need to be. So as you can tell, one wire is going to be here, and then two more are going to be on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and let's cut to that part. And just like that, guys, I finished doing that alternator wire. I got already plugged in where they need to be. I did use the stock harness to make sure where they actually, I don't know where I put it back. Oh, it's back in here. I make sure I checked over the connectors to see where it plugs into the stock body harness over here in the car. So I got those done with just 2 wires, and then I have my other wire for the sense wire that actually plugs in over here by the fuse box. So I already have all this stuff in place, as you can tell, but I'll be swapping this out around and all this and that. But right now I'm gonna finish up wiring my gauges, and we'll finish that up. But I'm not gonna get a lot of this because it's actually kind of time consuming. Also, guys, as you can tell, I did do a few wiring things here for the fuse box, ECU, and all that stuff, just to get it all prepped up. Right now it's mocked up because I might redo this whole thing here. At least the buttons up there, and I got all the gauges in place and all the wiring stuff here. Boost solenoids, wideband sensor, oil pressure sensors, coolant temp sensors, and all that stuff for my gauges. All that's set and ready. I might be going with bigger fuel line. I'm not sure yet, depending how it goes. But I am getting some bigger injectors because I will need them. These are, I think, 350cc. So not the biggest for this setup. But either way, I was trying to at least get the car running. But either way, that's a little quick thing to do. And before we start, I'm actually going to start doing these plugs. And here, I do got some NGK BKR6s. Put them in place and go from there. And then start doing all the other little things. And also, I still got to add my coolant hose over here, as you can tell from my water pump to the head side up top, right there. And let's see if we can get that in place. I did get a hose to try to match it up and have it more tucked in the backside. If not, we'll go back with the old one, which I'm not a big fan of that big style that goes overhead and all the way this way. So if I ever do pull another one off, I'll make sure I'll get some AN lines and make it removable. A lot easier, a lot neater. So now let's get to it. Let's pull these coils out. These will just pop right off, so it's really easy for me to do. So let's, just like that, put them aside and go from there. All right, so okay. All right, guys, so as you can tell, these things are soaked. Well, they were soaked. I mean, they're drying off now. But did have to do a few things. I had to flush out the system because there's old gas in the car itself. So good thing I have an extra hose here that can actually remove my return line and actually put a hose here and then just dump it into a gas tank and just turn the fuel pump on. And it's a lot easier for me to do it that way instead of going into the actual tank and remove it that way. So easy thing for me to do. And these were all soaked up, like I was saying, and they weren't firing, so I'm actually replacing them. They've been gapped down really low, but these aren't the best. I got some coming, some BKR 8s, so those are a lot colder plugs and it'll be better for my setup. So either way, let's go ahead and put these plugs back in. And what's up, guys? So I did finish putting the plugs in. I started putting all the cold brackets in place and everything in here for the last time. All that's done. So I did put the NGK BKR8. I did get some dress-up bolts from my buddy. He recommended me from there. Package there. And as you can tell, it's actually pretty neat. I love the outcome of it. And yes, we got a little bit more goodies for the car. And after that, we should be ready to start this thing up. But the package that they came in, amazing. So, but yeah, so now we got a few more things to do. We're gonna start doing bigger injectors, catch can setup, and we're doing some solid diff mounts and a fuel pump. But so right now, let's start jacking up this car and start doing them diff mounts. And just like that, guys, is in place. I'm gonna be getting some new diff bolts there, so stay tuned on that one. So now let's go ahead and do some injectors real quick. I'll show you here in a bit. Pulling these out. These are my buddies that he let me use, and these are the injectors. 1000cc Dutchworks injectors. It's gonna be plenty for this build. All right, guys. So as you can tell, Dutchworks got some plug and play connectors here. These I don't have to switch out anything here at all, but they do use these type of connectors. vibrant catch can I'm going to be using. I heard a lot of good things about this. And it's pretty good for these JZs and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and start installing this. I'm not 100% sure just yet where I'm going to be putting it at. For now, I'm thinking actually having it over here, but I need to do some test fitting here and there, because if I put it over here, the hood might be hitting here. So I really got to figure it out. I know I don't have any much more room or any place to put it. Only place is right there, but since I'm really picky, we'll see what happens. But I can't put it over here because I got my wastegate dump tube coming out of there, so I don't want to have too much heat. All right, guys, so as you can tell, I have it there, just sitting there. What I think I'm gonna do is probably put it around here and turn this over this way, just so I can have some room there to mount it in place. I'm gonna have to make a bracket for that, just something real quick and nice and sturdy for that. That's really the only place I can put it. It does clear there, but it's so close. So what I'm gonna do actually is, instead of using these 10 AN fittings, I'm gonna be probably ordering a couple more of these, which these are tight radius compared to these over here. It's gonna give me more room for clearance for the hood, because this actually itself sits just barely right on top of that. So let's go ahead, figure out the lines and all that stuff and measure them out. I do have a whole kit over there. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna show you here a little sneak peek of how the engine has came out after a good bit of work, probably for a few days. I'm always working, so I try to get as much time as possible with this car. I'll show you a little quick rundown of what I've done completely. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll see this running for the first time, which actually that's probably from last week. But either way, I'm gonna show you here. I did finish up my catch can setup here. All the lines got routed that way. That's the only good way, because especially if I run it over here, I won't be able to, because I'm going to be having a lot of heat on this side. So I'm like, you know what, let's run it on this side. So I did run into an issue where I had different AN fittings here, some 90s, and they're a bit higher. So I mean, they still cleared, but I didn't like it, so I decided to go ahead and order some of these tight radius fittings, and they work just perfectly. So everything in here is nice and tucked, and I'm actually able to use my hood shocks if I ever wanted to again. So that's actually a bracket here to there, and the bolt's long enough for it to go back in place, and I can still use that. So also, I did do a coolant reservoir here, and that's all situated. So I ran that hose underneath of it. So basically, if coolant comes out, it'll go in here, and once it cools back down, it'll suck it right back in. So that's a good thing. So also, I did put a little shield in here, as you can tell, just in case if anything happens. I don't want nothing getting sucked back into that turbo, just in case. I haven't ordered a turbo guard just yet, but if anything ever happens, I'll just remove this and go from there. But I do have a whole lot more things happening here, but besides that, did install some bigger injectors and also plugs, and everything else has been finished up engine bay wise. I've got nothing else as if I can think of with it. So let's go on to the interior. And also, I did wire up the fans, I forgot to tell you, but I am running some 4 Taurus fans, and they flow really good. I'll show you here in a second. So right into the interior, I did make this panel here since mine was all messed up from LRB. So I decided to make my own here, and I really surprised how it came out. So as you can tell, got my buttons here, which will be my I think it's coils, ECU. That's the starter side, and this is my injectors, and then I got my fuel pump, then I got my fan here, and as you can tell, you can hear that kick right on, perfect. But as you can tell right here, nothing's happening with my ECU, because reason why, I got a kill switch right there. So that kill switch is gonna be coming in handy for me. I am gonna add another one for my battery power side and make sure nothing happens in the future, and that will be added outside the car just in case. other than that, not a lot of stuff is actually running with this car. All right, guys. So as you can tell, engine's in the back. This is the future me. This car is already running, but a quick explanation before you see the first startup. We were having some issues here with timing itself for the ignition, so I do have a cam bung welded up in here, so I'm sure that's not the issue at all. But what we ended up figuring out was the actual wires for the cam sensors were opposite. So basically, it shows it's right, but we did that and it fixed a lot of our issues that we were having. So whenever we're using timeline, it should be pointing up at top dead center, which it wasn't. It was a whole 180 out. Same, the crank itself was actually showing at top dead center, but the top wasn't. So, like I said, we flipped the wires, fixed all that. So now, car's running perfectly. But you'll see that in the next clip, the first time running, and us trying to crank this over. So, we did check up a lot of the stuff for the actual engine timing itself. I've done this plenty of times, so I knew it wasn't going to be that, but we checked it just in case. And we also had some foul plugs out since they're really wet. And my injectors were slightly too small, and they're just not the best. But either way, he brought some bigger ones over, adjusted a lot of the stuff on the ECU itself, and it helped a lot just to get it just right. So, enjoy, guys. Process in the car, because it's been a long road for me. Just a lot of stuff going on with this car itself, but I'll see you on the next one, guys. You're gonna see in the next video here for tuning and all that kind of stuff, and after that I'll be hopping back onto that Eclipse and then figuring out what I have to do with this car next. Probably be drifting this car here soon, so we'll see what happens. But hopefully you enjoy, and remember to like and subscribe.